Hey everybody, I'm live. It's John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, CEO of Operation Hope. I'm also the chairman, CEO of Bryant Group Ventures and author of a couple books, How the Poor Can Save Capitalism and Love Leadership, amongst others. I'm working on a new one now called The Memo. Now, please put your comments there. No one knew I was really going live, so log in when you can. If not, you can watch it later. So today's topic is really a t-shirt that my man, Sir James Buchanan, who's my assistant, got to me today, gave to me and Natasha as a gift. Success is not an accident. Hope you can see this shirt. Success is not an accident. He gave me this shirt. It just so happens that yesterday, by the way, anybody who's interested you can log in right here and put your comments and questions. I will answer you either now or when this is over. So I'm walking through the airport coming from Detroit yesterday, and his brother walks up to me at Brookstones. I popped in on the way through the airport. He stops me, young African dude, and says, "Look, you don't remember me, do you?" "Not really, you look familiar." He said, 5 years ago, you stopped me in one of these little shops here, and you said to me, "You got great customer service skills. What's your ambitions? What's your talents? What's your gifts? What is it you want to do with your life?" He said, "You don't remember me, but you said to me, you poured hope into me that day, and you said I can do anything I want to do, that I've got great talents and skills. Why are you just being an administrative level assistant?" And then you went to my boss and told my boss that this guy has got real talent, right? He said, "My boss didn't do anything about that. But I did," right? You poured capital into me. Hope was capital. And so, hello, Roderick Cunningham. Good to see you. Janu, good to see you logged in. We're having a conversation about hope as capital. When you don't have money, compounded interest, money to make compounded interest, money making more money, you have to have hustle on top of hustle, creating more hustle. We're talking about success is not an accident, and we're talking about hope as capital. So this young man said, "Look, I want to tell you how you've impacted my life. I remember your business card. I remember what it looked like. I told my now wife about meeting you. She always told me to reach out to you. I never did. But let me tell you what you did to my life." He said, "I'm now running. I'm married." He said, "I own my own home." He showed me a picture of his beautiful home here in Georgia. He says, "My brother came here from Ghana. He's got a home and a job." He said, "I went from being an assistant rep to a assistant manager to a manager, and now I run the largest Brookstone store with the most revenue in the entire airport network." He said, "I'm the manager of this store." You did that to me, and I didn't do that. He did it to himself, by the way. But he said, "You believing in me, you pouring hope, capital in me, changed my outlook on life. And versus seeing the world as a life with a cup half empty, I see it as a cup half full. Versus being focused on what I was against, I became focused on what I was for. I began to realize that life was 10% what life does to me and 90% how you choose to respond to it." The young man's name is Kwaku. He's from Ghana, Africa. And he also now believes success is not an accident. That is intentional. It is intentionality, right? It is how you're focusing your life. And all he needed he didn't need money. He didn't need a loan. He didn't need a hookup. He just needed somebody to believe in him. And this was the case, it was a stranger, and say, you can do anything you want to do in your life. It allowed him to reset his brain, reimagine his future, go off in another direction. And 5 years later, he sees this same guy in the airport and stops him last night and says, and I wouldn't have met him if I hadn't missed a flight, by the way, so God works in mysterious ways. As Ambassador Andrew Young would say, coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. So if I hadn't missed the flight that I was going from Detroit to someplace else international yesterday and then decided to come home to Atlanta first to leave another day, I wouldn't have met him, and that was intended because I needed to know that our work was meaningful and what we say to people is meaningful, and he needed a reassurance to be able to sort of set it up and pay it off to let me know that that investment was worthwhile. So what are you saying to your kids? Let's say if some of your kids screw up, if you have children. Okay, fine, great, they screw up. You say, "You screwed up. I'm very disappointed in you. And you're going to have to pay a price for this. What you did, you're not going to get away with it. You have to pay a price for it. And I'm really upset with you, you future lawyer, you future attorney, you future entrepreneur, you future small business owner, you future engineer." So even when you're frustrated with them, you can sort of push them into an aspirational future versus saying, "You idiot, you dummy, you'll never amount to anything like your daddy." How many of us are saying to people we love, you'll never amount to anything like somebody else I know. You're destroying their self-esteem. You're chipping away at that inner hope, that confidence. And I'm convinced, as I said earlier, that a quarter of the world's population, according to the UN, has a mental illness. According to the UN, a quarter of the world's population has a mental illness. That translates in many cases to depression. And if you happen to be African American, as I've said in another video, the one on Black America, I think that 70% of African Americans are clinically undiagnosed depressed. 250 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow ended in our lifetime, which means in 1970, not 1870, which means you've been told you aren't anything for a few hundred years. You tend to believe it, right? And hope and self-esteem and confidence is half of all poverty and half of all success. All I did was pour hope back into this guy. That's all I did. And he was a stranger. Just took a moment to tell him and reassure him that he was somebody. Rainbows only follow storms. I'll do a whole session on that. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. Okay, let's look at some of the comments and questions. Rakita, my cousin's joined. Trip is joined. How can hope be shown without capital? How can I show my friends and others around me the hope that they need when they have been destroyed beyond repair? No one's destroyed beyond repair. Even Jesus said when he was being crucified, he said, "Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do." But before that, he said, "Lord, why have you forsaken me?" So even Jesus, and we're celebrating Easter this weekend, of course, even Jesus lost hope for a moment, but then ultimately gained it and said, "Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do." His last breath was one of forgiveness and joy. And if he can get over the pain, so can we. So watch how you live your life. It may be the only Bible anybody else reads. Oftentimes, so you walk through an airport or you're walking down the street, you open a door for somebody in front of you. You hold the door and let the person walk through. What do they say in surprise? Well, thank you for that. And then I want you to watch what happens for the next person that walks through the door. 8 times out of 10, that person will hold the door for the person that follows them. And you've just changed the trajectory of the person you just held the door for and made them slightly more hopeful, more caring, more thoughtful, more appreciative. You just created a new habit for the person that followed you because we follow and model what we see. Okay, Mary says, pour hope in others, love life into one another. Absolutely. Irish has just joined the conversation. Let me see here. Jorima, beautiful name, just joined the conversation. Donald Reed says, "I'm ready to take my life to the next level and stop living in lack and mediocrity." Absolutely. I just gave that a thumbs up. Sheila, CEO Reginald McNeil, he's claiming his CEO-ness, has just joined in. Dioda, if I'm saying that properly, thank you for your compliment. So look, I try not to take these videos too long. This is 7 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to log off here in a minute. I have another one after this. It's much more focused. But I just wanted to just give you this thing that sometimes, again, as Andrew Young would say, coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. And if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. So I'm going to do another video on this, but don't run away from your problems. Run to them. The calmest place in a hurricane is the center of it, right? Literally, it's the center of it. It's also a scientific fact that you cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. That's not like my theory. It is my theory, but it is also, it's not just aspiration and inspiration, it's actually science. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. You cannot grow without legitimate suffering. I was in Detroit recently, and they were sort of, wondering about why this stuff has come to them. And I said, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. Now, Detroit's a great city, and you're reinventing yourself. It used to be one of the wealthiest cities in the world. But would you be reinventing yourself and reimagining how you do business had you not had problems? The answer is no. Nobody changes in good times. Why would you? You only change in bad times. So we only grow through legitimate suffering. Don't run away from your problems. Run to them. Happy Easter. Yes, thank you very much to Mary. Okay, I think I'm out. This is 9 minutes. This was, I think, a good tight session on the capital called hope. Understand, this is going to be my new book, The Memo. Capital comes from the Latin root word capitas, which literally defines and means knowledge in the head. Capital has nothing to do with money, just like poverty has nothing to do with money. Anybody who's telling you that capital and poverty is in your pocket, that somehow it's financial, it's just fooling you. They're making you into a fool. As Malcolm X said, we've been bamboozled, we've been tricked. They are trying to keep you off of your game. You've got everything you need inside of you to be successful already. I never had a loan in any of my businesses growing up. I just doubled down. Whatever I made, I reinvested. I made sure my 9 to 5 paid for my 5 to 9. So I used the benefits from a job from 9 to 5 to finance what I was doing from 5 to 9. And I just kept reinvesting, pouring it back in, and then using the magic of compounded hustle. An entrepreneur works 18 hours a day to keep getting a job. So here's this young man, Kwaku, from Africa, comes here and decides that success is not an accident, brings his sister here, brings his brother here, goes from a rep at one of the airport stores to running the largest Brookstone store by revenue in the entire airport system, buys a home, marries his sweetheart from Africa, and shows me photos of him traveling the world with his wife. Come on, folks. If he can do it, you can too. All right. Mary, so right on. Can I grow without the pain of legitimate suffering? Rainbows only follow storms. I love Mary from Alaska. And LaShawn just joined. My messages are always on time. Thanks for the encouragement. You're welcome. There's one coming up right after this, which is part of What I'm Building series that's very specific. And if you want to help the movement, there'll be a way you can either get help from the movement or help to spur the civil rights movement. I'm out. Go to operationhope.org to sign up to the civil rights movement. Go to johnhopebryant.com to join my blog and to follow what we're doing. And join and invite friends to subscribe to this series. We've had 250,000 views already, turning into my own little broadcast network. I'll be doing some stuff from Africa in the next week, and it's some real special stuff coming up. Doing a whole series on this. Let's build 1 million viewers in a month, and I got something special coming for you next month with a big announcement. But you'll hear from me first here, and you'll be able to talk to me directly. All right, peace out, love, go change the world.